Hello everyone and welcome back. In this tutorial we're going to have a look on how to create materials per object with Python, so when we export out the geometry to Substance Painter, we can isolate parts of the scene easily. We will also create random colors per material and assign the same material for repeating objects. Let's start by having a look at the scene. I have this guitar model UV'd already, and before exporting out to Painter, I need some materials assigned. One problem we might face is that we don't want different materials for identical objects. So since they share the same poly count, we can add that variable to the script. Okay, let's open the script editor, create a new Python tab and also have the outliner around. Starting by storing the selection in a variable, as you can see it will output all the selected objects. Now we need a for loop with a counter that we will use later. Inside the loop we create a shading node, in this case the standard surface. Then we use the counter I to name the shader. Finally, we select the current mesh and assign the shader with the hypershade command. So executing the command, we get a different material for each object. This might be what you're looking for, but in my case I want to add a random color to avoid creating materials for identical parts. Let's undo and start by implementing the random colors. We will need the random module from Python, so import it in the first line. So now we have to create a random color for R, G and B. Then in a loop we use the random function to generate three values. Finally, we can assign those values to the base color attribute of the standard surface. If we run the script, we get the expected result, a random color for each object in the selection. But we still need to have the same material for repeating objects. Let's create a new Python tab and create the final script. Import random and set the selection variable. Now we will use a dictionary, which will store the values of the amount of vertices and the associated mesh. That's how we will solve the problem I stated before, when the script was creating a new material for similar parts. We will check the poly count and store them in the dictionary accordingly. So for each mesh in the selection, we get the vertex count. Let's open a simple scene to test out our script. As you can see, we have a total of 8 vertices for each cube, and the other objects have unique vertices amount. If we run the script, we will easily see the vertex amount of each mesh generated by the polyevaluate command. Now, in an if statement, we declare that if we have the same poly count of a previous mesh added to the dictionary, we append it and keep them as values of the same key, in this case the vertex count. Otherwise, we just set the value, in this case mesh, of the key vertex count. So if I print the dictionary, you can easily see the result, grouping the meshes with the same vertex count. If we create a loop to iterate over the dictionary, we will see the different keys and the values of it. Let's use this for loop to finish our script. In this case, we will select the values in the dictionary and create a selection set. This part is not required, but it can be useful in some situations. After using the sets command, we just repeat the code we have written before, creating a shader, giving it a random color, and assigning the material. In this case, it's not working correctly because when I copied the code from the other tab, we had a different name for the meshes variable. In this case, we need to select the value and not the mesh before assigning the shader. As you can see, now we have a different material for each object that doesn't share the same poly count. We also have the different selection sets, which can be useful. Coming back to the guitar scene, if we execute the previous code, you see the problem with similar meshes having different materials. But if we run the new code, it's doing what we wanted in the first place. The only problem that we can fix manually is that the bottom frets have a different poly count, so we just assign the same material of the bigger frets and should be fine for exporting to Painter. Okay guys, that's basically it. I'm not an expert on scripting, but hopefully this can be useful to you. I would like to thank Ori of CG Lounge for helping me out a lot with this script. That's all, see you in the next video, bye bye.